The Kytharian battle cruiser sliced silently through space. Stars gleamed cold and distant beyond the thick glass. Commander Kryvar stood on the bridge. His cold blue eyes scanned the endless darkness. Ahead lay a small blue-green planet. They called it Earth. He believed the humans would fall easily. His species conquered many worlds before. Each victory had been swift and total. Yet Earth was different. That thought barely crossed his mind. The crew bustled quietly around him. The air smelled faintly of metal and recycled oxygen. The ship's hum was steady, a reminder of power held in check. Kryvar's hand rested on the rail. He thought about the reports they had gathered. Thexolan, the ship's scientist, had briefed Kryvar earlier. Thexolan's voice was calm but uneasy. Humans are primitive, yes, but their tactics are unusual. He had pulled up images and data. Humans fought with strange aggression and clever traps. Kryvar had dismissed the warnings. They are still weak, he said. His mind held memories of easy conquests, worlds that surrendered or fell without real fight. Earth, with its noisy forests and unpredictable storms, seemed no threat. Meanwhile, the humans prepared on their side. In a dimly lit room deep underground, Maya Patel adjusted her helmet. The smell of sweat mixed with oil and gunpowder in the air. Around her, soldiers checked their gear and shared quiet words. The sound of boots on concrete echoed softly. Maya's eyes were sharp and steady. She studied the latest intelligence reports. The Kytharians expected an easy landing. They did not know what they faced. Humans had survived countless threats on their planet. She thought about their world's brutal past. Natural disasters, vicious predators, endless wars. Humans had learned to fight smarter and fight harder. They used the terrain, the weather, and their own cunning. They survived by being dangerous. Not just strong, but unpredictable. Christopher Foster, a young soldier, loaded his rifle with practiced hands. He glanced at Maya and nodded. No words were needed. They both understood the weight of the moment. The enemy was powerful, but humans had something else, heart and will. Outside, the sky glowed faintly with distant stars. The hum of machines and quiet tension filled the air. Somewhere above, the alien cruiser moved closer to Earth. Its weapons gleamed cold and ready. Suddenly, a sharp beep echoed on the human command console. Maya's brow furrowed. "Contact," she whispered. The battle was about to begin. Kryvar's ship broke through the atmosphere with silent grace. The blue sky shifted to black as they entered the upper layers. The smooth metal hull reflected the planet's light. Below, forests stretched like dark oceans. Mountains rose jagged and white. Kryvar watched the surface. He expected to see chaos when the invasion began. Instead, he saw careful preparation. Silent movements in shadows, hidden weapons and traps. The humans did not attack head-on. Kryvar's confidence wavered for a brief moment. The reports had missed something. The humans were not simple prey. They were predators in their own right. As the ship's landing gear extended, Kryvar steeled himself. This would be no easy conquest. The battle for Earth was about to teach the Kytharians a harsh lesson, one that every alien military academy would soon study. Because humans fought like no other species, and they never forgot how to survive. The Kytharian warship hovered above the scorched battlefield. Smoke curled up from cracked ground. The air burned with heat and ash. Kryvar, the alien commander, stood silently at the viewport. His many eyes scanned the ruins below. The silence pressed heavy, broken only by distant echoes of explosions. Meanwhile, Thexolan, the scientist, adjusted his instruments beside him. His long fingers danced over glowing controls. The sensors still showed signs of life. That puzzled Kryvar the most. The humans here should have been wiped out days ago. Yet, signs of movement persisted. Small figures darted across the rubble like shadows. Their endurance baffled the Kytharians. Thexolan spoke softly, "Commander, these humans survive where no others could. Their resilience exceeds any known species." Kryvar frowned. He had expected easy victory. Instead, he found relentless resistance. The human soldiers showed no sign of giving up. Each attack only made them fight harder. This was no ordinary battle. This was a test of limits. The wind carried a faint metallic scent. It mixed with the acrid smell of burning fuel. Crying out, a human soldier charged through the smoke, his armor scratched and dented. Yet he ran faster than any Kytharian scout. He dodged blasts that would have dropped a beast twice his size. Suddenly, the soldier launched a grenade. The explosion sent shards of metal flying. No creature in their galaxy had moved with such fearless speed. The humans had survived brutal environments for centuries. This battle proved their strength came from endurance beyond limits. Down below, Maya Patil led her squad. Her voice rose steady over the radio. She ordered her team to hold the line. Her eyes burned with fierce determination. Sweat dripped down her brow, but she showed no sign of slowing. The heat, the pain, it all fueled her will to survive. Kryvar watched, fascinated. The humans seemed to draw power from hardship. Each wound made them stronger. Each loss hardened their resolve. This was not just fighting, it was a strange, savage dance. A battle that tested mind and body alike. Thexolan whispered, "Their bodies adapt quickly. They heal faster than expected. Their minds never break under pressure." He pointed to the readings. "Look here. Their heart rates peak, then settle. They push beyond pain, beyond fatigue." Kryvar nodded slowly. He remembered his own species' battles. Kytharians fought with brute force and overwhelming numbers. But these humans used something different. Their tactics were raw yet refined. Their endurance created opportunities for surprise. Suddenly, a sharp cry split the air. Christopher Foster, a human soldier, sprinted across open ground. His boots kicked up dust and glass. He dodged laser fire with quick, unpredictable moves. He was a blur of motion, impossible to target. Kryvar clenched his fists. "How do they keep going?" he muttered. Thexolan replied, "It is their nature. They survive through sheer will. They endure pain without faltering." The battlefield shifted. The humans retreated behind a crumbled wall. There they regrouped fast. Her team patched wounds and reloaded weapons. The soldiers shared quick glances, silent but united. Their spirit held firm. Kryvar stepped away from the viewport. He rubbed his mandibles thoughtfully. This was no simple conquest. It was a war of endurance. The humans had learned to thrive in chaos and danger. The Kytharian way of overwhelming force might fail here. Thexolan studied the data. Their physiology supports this endurance. Muscles recover faster. Pain receptors are dulled. They have high tolerance for toxins. He touched a hologram of the human body. Their system is built for hardship. Outside, the battle raged on. Bright flashes lit the dark smoke. The sounds of gunfire and explosions echoed endlessly. Human soldiers moved with tireless energy. They ran farther, fought harder, and refused to yield. Kryvar felt a mix of respect and frustration. These humans were unlike any foe he had known. Their endurance gave them an edge no weapon could match. He could see why alien academies studied them. Their tactics combined strength with relentless stamina. Meanwhile, Thexolan prepared a report. "We must learn more from them. Their endurance is key to their survival. It shapes every fight they face." Kryvar nodded grimly. "Prepare for a closer look. We need to understand what drives their will." As night fell, the battlefield cooled, but the fight did not end. Human forces maintained their positions. They rested only briefly, then pushed forward anew. Their relentless spirit formed an unbreakable line. Kryvar watched one soldier carefully. Foster wiped blood from his face. His eyes shone with fierce fire. His breath came heavy, but he moved with steady determination. This was no ordinary fighter. This was a creature born to endure, to survive at all costs. Thexolan sighed. "They are a living lesson in endurance. Their tactics are not just about attack. They survive the worst and turn it into strength." Kryvar agreed silently. He felt the weight of a new challenge. To defeat these humans, the Kytharians must rethink war itself. They must study endurance, patience, and unexpected tactics. The first revelation settled deep in his mind. Humans were not just strong. They were built to endure everything the universe could throw at them. That endurance made all the difference. It made them the most dangerous species in their ecosystem. The Kytharian Empire had never faced such an opponent. Now, they would learn, and perhaps one day they would match the humans' relentless will. Until then, The humans held the advantage. They survived beyond limits. And that survival was their true weapon. The Kytharian ship hung above the battered training ground. Dust drifted in lazy swirls as the last rays of the alien sun touched the earth. Kryvar watched with narrowing eyes. The humans moved differently here. Their motion seemed sharper, cleaner, like a predator aware of every breath around it. Meanwhile, Thexolan adjusted the ship's scanners. He focused on the humans' movements, trying to decode patterns. The humans had left no time for hesitation. Each step, each breath held purpose. They were not just fighting mindlessly. The humans did not just rely on technology. Their instincts guided them. It was their greatest weapon. Their tactics went beyond their weapons. They used the land, the shadows, even the wind. Every detail mattered. The battlefield was a twisted maze of metal and rock. Broken walls from old conflicts stood like silent sentinels. The humans used these ruins for cover. Their bodies slipped between shadows as if born from them. The air smelled of gunpowder and sweat. It was sharp and raw, a scent Kryvar could not ignore. Suddenly, a flurry of movement caught Kryvar's eye. Maya Patel led a squad through a narrow opening. She moved like a ghost, barely making a sound. Her eyes scanned constantly, alert for any sign of danger. Her soldiers mirrored her energy, their breathing steady but tense. Thexolan's scanner beeped. Tracking an enemy drone. Humans had spotted it first. Before the drone could report their position, Maya launched a precise grenade. The explosion echoed like thunder, shaking the ground beneath them. The drone spiraled down, useless and broken. The humans destroyed threats before they fully appeared. Their reactions were not just fast, they were smart. Each move seemed planned and rehearsed. But it was more than that. The soldiers advanced with a rhythm that felt almost natural. They used silence as a weapon. Their steps were measured, careful. No careless noise betrayed their presence. The air was tense with anticipation, like a forest waiting for a storm. Christopher Foster, a young soldier, took point. His eyes were sharp and unyielding. He scanned every corner, every shadow. He was calm but alert, ready to strike at a moment's notice. He moved with a quiet confidence. Kryvar noted this immediately. There was no fear in his expression, only focus. The humans communicated with hand signals. Small, fluid gestures passed quickly between team members. Their coordination was perfect. Each soldier knew their role instantly. Thexolan tapped Kryvar's shoulder. Their silent signals are a form of communication primitive species lack, he said. It allows them to move undetected while coordinating complex maneuvers. Kryvar nodded slowly. This was a skill deeply ingrained, not learned overnight. It was born from their history as hunters. Suddenly, the humans triggered an ambush. From hidden pits and behind rubble, they launched a coordinated attack on the Kytharian scouts. Bullets zipped through the air with deadly precision. The Kytharians had no time to react. The humans struck hard and fast. Thexolan winced. Their strikes are calculated to exploit weaknesses immediately, he observed. They do not waste energy. Kryvar struggled to keep his breath steady. The humans were more than mere soldiers. They were hunters in their own right. The battlefield was their jungle, and they knew every tree, every shadow. Maya's voice crackled over her comms. Advance on my mark. Cover the left flank. Her tone was calm but commanding. Her squad obeyed instantly. Their movements flowed like water, smooth and unstoppable. The Kytharian troops tried to respond. They formed tight formations, but the humans broke through. They used hit-and-run tactics, suddenly appearing, then vanishing. Their attacks were surgical. Kryvar's mind raced to understand. This was no ordinary fight. The humans used their environment, their instincts, and their perfect teamwork. It was as if the battlefield itself was part of their mind. Thexolan murmured, "They adapt instantly. Their survival depends on it." The dust rose higher now. The smell of burnt metal mixed with sweat and earth. Kryvar saw sweat bead on his soldiers' foreheads. Their confidence wavered. The humans smiled, but not out of cruelty. It was a smile of pure focus. Thexolan pointed at the scanner. Their heart rates remained steady, even under fire. Kryvar's jaw tightened. The humans did not panic. Fear did not cloud their thinking. They accepted danger as part of life. Their training was not just physical. It was mental, emotional. Suddenly, a flashbang exploded near the Kytharian rear. The blast sent soldiers stumbling. The humans pressed forward with renewed vigor. Christopher Foster led a charge, his rifle blazing. Kryvar saw something else then, a spark of joy in the soldiers' eyes. Thexolan whispered, "Their love of combat makes them unpredictable. It fuels their tactics." Kryvar swallowed hard. This was more than science. A fire the Kytharians had never seen. Maya's squad reached a high ridge. From there, they could see the whole field. Maya raised her hand, signaling her soldiers to hold. She looked down at the struggling Kytharians. Kryvar realized then, the humans fought like hunters. They knew when to attack and when to wait. They used patience as a weapon. Meanwhile, the wind carried the sound of distant gunfire. The battlefield was alive with chaos, yet the humans thrived in it. They moved like shadows dancing in the dark. Thexolan closed his eyes. "Their tactics are a blend of instinct and discipline," he said softly. A perfect storm. Kryvar's heart pounded in his chest. He saw now why the human military was feared across the stars. Not because of their machines, but because of who they were. Masters of the battlefield. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with blood-red streaks. The humans vanished into the shadows, ready for whatever came next. Kryvar felt a deep respect grow inside him. The humans had taught him a lesson no scanner or weapon ever could. To fight like a hunter was to live on the edge of danger and never blink. To trust your instincts. To strike with purpose and patience. Kryvar stared at the battlefield through the cracked viewport. The air smelled sharp, mixed with dust and burning metal. The sound of distant explosions echoed like thunder rolling across the hills. Smoke curled upward, blotting out the pale sky. It was chaos, yet strangely organized. Thexolan stood beside Kryvar, his eyes wide with disbelief. He had studied war for cycles, but nothing prepared him for this strange human tactic. He whispered, "Look at their formations. They move not as individuals, but as one." Kryvar nodded, trying to grasp the full meaning. The humans did not fight in isolated squads. They merged their strengths, flowing together like water. It was a dance of coordinated effort. Their weapons' fires overlapped, creating a blanket of destruction. Meanwhile, their soldiers shielded each other, never straying far from the group. The alien forces had tried to capitalize on their own agility and firepower. They struck fast, then pulled back, but the humans adapted. They shifted their lines, filling gaps instantly. If one soldier fell, another stepped forward without hesitation. Thexolan's mind raced. This was not random bravery, a living machine built from unity. Kryvar's thoughts returned to Commander Maya. He remembered her calm voice over the comms, directing movements with precision. She made every soldier part of a larger whole. That was her true strength. She forged an unbreakable bond among humans. Their minds connected through training, trust, and fierce loyalty. Suddenly, a bright flare burst nearby. Thexolan flinched as a shockwave rattled the viewport. The human line pressed forward, undeterred. They used the explosion as cover, advancing through the smoke and debris. Their faces were fierce, but focused. It was clear they did not fear death, because they did not fight alone. Kryvar turned away from the window, troubled. His own troops fought bravely, but they lacked this unity. They attacked as individuals, each for themselves. Rivalries simmered beneath the surface. The alien chains of command were rigid, but they failed to create the deep trust humans enjoyed. This was their fatal flaw. The smell of burnt oil and scorched earth filled the room. Kryvar clenched his fists. If they faced this again, they would lose many more. There was a lesson here, buried in the chaos. Thexolan nodded slowly. Our tactics rely on might and discipline, but theirs rely on heart and connection. The two men stood silently as the battle raged outside. The rhythmic boom of cannons, the sharp crack of rifles, and the shouts of soldiers blended into a harsh symphony. Yet, within the noise, the human forces maintained order. Their movements were smooth, almost like a single organism. Kryvar's mind flashed back to his own academy days. They trained for strength, for speed, for precision. But never for this. Never for the power of trust beyond orders. Thexolan's voice broke the silence. They fight with a unity born of shared struggle. Their bonds are forged in hardship and hope. Kryvar nodded again. He thought of Maya Patal's words during the initial encounter. She had said, "We survive because we are more than soldiers. We are family." At first, he had dismissed it as human sentiment. The battlefield shifted. Human soldiers formed tight circles, defending wounded comrades. One man stood in the center, firing his rifle at advancing enemies. Around him, others moved in synchronized arcs, creating a living shield. Kryvar felt a pang of jealousy. Such cohesion was alien to his kind. Meanwhile, Thexolan watched the patterns, taking mental notes. These tactics could reshape warfare across galaxies. If we could replicate this unity, he murmured, our armies would be unstoppable. Kryvar agreed but added, it is not just tactics, something we do not know how to teach. The battle neared its climax. Human forces surged forward, pushing the aliens back. Thexolan spotted Christopher Foster, moving swiftly between cover and firing with calm precision. Foster's eyes burned with determination. He shouted orders, rallying scattered soldiers. Kryvar admired the human's courage but noticed something else, a quiet confidence. Foster did not hesitate. He trusted his comrades and believed in their combined strength. This was the third revelation: strength in unity was the human's secret weapon. Suddenly, an alien squad tried to flank the humans. They moved quickly, hoping to break the line. But human soldiers responded instantly. They shifted formation like a living wave. The flank vanished into a trap. Aliens fell, captured or retreating. Kryvar felt a heavy weight settle on his shoulders. Their own forces lacked this seamless coordination. Personal glory often trumped teamwork in their ranks. It was a cultural flaw, not a tactical one. The humans had mastered the art of selflessness in battle. Thexolan leaned closer to the viewport. His breath fogged the glass. We study their weapons, their strategies, their technology. But the greatest lesson is in their hearts. Kryvar nodded. Our academies must teach this, or we will always lose. The smell of smoke grew stronger as fires spread across the field. The humans did not slow. They moved with purpose, protecting each other and pushing forward. Kryvar realized that no weapon, no armor, could substitute for such unity. He thought of the alien cadets back home. They trained hard but lacked bonds beyond competition. Thexolan's words echoed in his mind. Strength in numbers is not enough. Strength in unity is everything. The battle finally waned as human forces gained ground. Thexolan and Kryvar watched as Maya Patal led her troops in clearing the last resistance. Her calm face held no fear, only resolve. She embodied the unity they had witnessed. Kryvar turned to Thexolan and said, "This is our third revelation. Humans survive, thrive, and conquer because they fight as one." Thexolan smiled faintly. "And that is why every alien military academy will study human tactics." The room grew quiet except for distant echoes of gunfire. Kryvar felt a spark of hope amid the destruction. Perhaps, by learning this lesson, their own species might rise, not just in strength but in unity. As the smoke cleared, the battlefield lay changed forever. The humans had shown the power of connection. Their tactics transcended weapons and armor. They fought with a bond that made them unstoppable. Kryvar understood now. The true lesson was not in how humans fought. It was in why they fought together. And that lesson would reshape the galaxy's future. The battlefield stretched wide under a dark, smoky sky. The air tasted sharp and stale. Explosions cracked in the distance. Dust and ash danced like ghosts in the wind. Kryvar's Kytharian troops stood ready, their armor glinting beneath the flickering fires. They expected a quick victory. Instead, they found chaos. Meanwhile, Maya Patal stood at the front line. Her eyes scanned the horizon with sharp focus. Her breath came steady despite the heat and noise. Sweat dripped down her brow, mixing with soot. Around her, human soldiers moved like a living wall, unbroken and fierce. The ground beneath them was scarred by craters and shell marks. Suddenly, a piercing whistle cut through the racket. Thexolan, watching from the command ship, frowned. "They're using something new," he muttered. The Kytharian forces shifted uneasily. Maya's troops weren't just holding. They were advancing with unexpected speed. Their formations twisted and turned like a snake striking from all sides at once. The humans had learned to fight in ways no other species had seen. Their strategy combined raw strength with clever tricks. Their soldiers used the terrain, hiding behind ruined walls and twisted metal. They flanked the Kytharians with sharp precision. Meanwhile, the alien commanders struggled to keep up. Kryvar felt his frustration grow. His voice rose, sharp and demanding. His troops responded, pushing forward with heavy weapons blazing. The ground shook as tanks rolled in. Energy beams crackled through the smoke. Still, the humans danced through the chaos, dodging and striking with deadly accuracy. Christopher Foster led a squad through a broken city street. The smell of burning plastic and metal filled the air. Broken glass crunched under their boots. Foster's heart pounded. He saw Kytharian soldiers moving toward their flank. Without hesitation, he raised his rifle and fired in controlled bursts. Each shot found its mark. Suddenly, a Kytharian warrior lunged from the shadows, claws flashing. Foster twisted just in time. He slammed his rifle's butt against the alien's head. The creature reeled, then collapsed. Around him, his squad pressed forward. Their shouts mixed with the sounds of battle. It was a symphony of survival. Meanwhile, Maya spotted a squad of Kytharian snipers hidden in a collapsed building. She signaled silently. A group of soldiers moved quickly, using low crawling and shadows for cover. They closed in without a sound. Then, with a sudden burst, the snipers were outnumbered and forced back. The humans reclaimed the ruined street. Kryvar clenched his fists. The humans were tougher than he expected. Their spirit was like fire. It burned hotter and refused to die. His forces began to falter. Communication broke down. Commanders shouted orders, but many Kytharians were already retreating or trapped. Thexolan's face showed disbelief. How do they keep fighting like this? He asked himself. He had studied many species, but none showed this level of resilience. The humans seemed to thrive on pressure. They turned near defeat into moments of strength. On the ground, Maya felt a surge of hope. The humans were breaking the enemy's will. She knew her people's survival depended on this moment. Her voice came steady as she gave orders. "Hold the line! Push them back!" The soldiers around her nodded. They shared her resolve. Suddenly, a massive explosion rocked the center of the battlefield. A Kytharian war machine erupted into flames. Shrapnel rained down like deadly hail. The ground shook beneath everyone's feet, yet the humans pressed forward unbroken. Their chants and cries rose above the roar. Foster ducked behind a crumbling wall. His rifle barked in rhythm with his heartbeat. He felt the thrill of the fight. Each move was a test of skill and will. The air smelled of smoke and sweat and fear, but no fear showed on their faces, only fierce determination. Meanwhile, Kryvar realized his forces were collapsing. His elite troops were pinned down or lost. The humans used every weakness, every gap, to their advantage. He had underestimated them. The Kytharians were not used to such stubborn enemies. Some whispered of surrender, but Kryvar refused. He raised his energy blade high. "Fight to the last breath!" he roared. His voice echoed through the battlefield. His soldiers rallied for one final attack. The humans met them head-on. Steel clashed with claws. Beams of energy sliced the air. The ground shook with the force of their battle. Suddenly, Maya spotted Kryvar leading the charge. He moved with deadly grace, cutting down soldiers in his path. He was their greatest threat. Without hesitation, she charged forward. Her own blade gleamed in the dim light. The two leaders collided in a fierce clash. Sparks flew as metal met energy. Their faces showed no fear, only focus. Around them, the battle slowed. Soldiers watched as their commanders fought. The outcome of this duel would decide everything. Kryvar struck fast, a flash of anger and strength. Maya parried calmly, reading his moves like a dance. She found an opening and pushed back hard. Maya seized her chance. With one strong blow, she forced him to yield. The Kytharian commander dropped his blade. Around them, the battlefield fell silent for a heartbeat. Then the humans shouted in triumph. The enemy's spirit broke. Kryvar lowered his head in defeat. Meanwhile, Thexolan stared in shock. The humans had done the impossible. They had beaten the mighty Kytharian army. Their tactics, their will, their courage, it was unmatched. Every alien military academy would study these humans. Their legend was just beginning. The dust settled over the battlefield as silence grew heavy. The smoky sky had dimmed the sun to a dull orange. Crowth trees, once full of life, lay broken and blackened. Craters pocked the ground like scars from a giant's fist. The air carried a thick smell of burnt metal and scorched earth. Kryvar stood at the edge of the field. His armor was scratched and chipped. Sweat rolled down his forehead. His eyes scanned the horizon, searching for signs of a retreat or a counterattack. But there was only quiet. The Kytharian forces had never expected this. Defeat tasted bitter. It stung sharper than any weapon. Meanwhile, Thexolan knelt beside a fallen mech. His fingers traced the cold alloy. The scientist's mind raced. He had never seen tactics like this. Humanity did not fight like other species. They used the landscape, noise, and even fear as weapons. Their tactics were unpredictable but precise. Thexolan realized that human soldiers thought like hunters, not traditional warriors. Suddenly, Maya Patel appeared at the hilltop. Her uniform was dusty, and her face showed fatigue. Yet, her eyes sparkled with calm determination. She looked not like a conqueror, but like a guardian. The humans had survived countless wars on Earth. They carried lessons etched in their very being. Christopher Foster walked beside her. He held his rifle loosely, yet his stance was alert. His breath came steady despite the chaos behind them. He caught Kryvar's gaze and nodded once. No words were needed. Respect passed silently like a torch. Kryvar lowered his weapon. It felt heavy now, too heavy to lift. He thought about the tales he had heard of human savagery. Now, he understood why those stories existed. Humans fought not just with strength, but with mind and heart. They adapted quickly, learned from mistakes, and never gave up. The Kytharian ranks began to regroup. They tended to their wounded and gathered what remained of their gear. No one spoke of surrender, but the battle's outcome was clear. Kryvar gave a slow, deep breath and signaled a retreat. It was time to rethink, to learn, and to prepare. Thexolan stayed close. He pulled out a small holo tablet and began recording data. Each tactic, each movement, each human surprise was logged carefully. This knowledge would change the Kytharian way of war forever. They would study human methods and add them to their own arsenal. Meanwhile, birds returned to the scarred trees. Their songs felt odd in the broken silence. The ground, though battered, held seeds that would grow again. Just as the human spirit found strength in adversity, so would the Kytharians. Maya and Christopher led their troops back to their ships. Their steps were quiet but sure. They knew this victory was not the end. It was the start of new challenges, new alliances, and new respect between species. War had taught them hard lessons, but peace would teach even harder ones. The sun dipped below the horizon. Shadows stretched long across the ruined field. Stars blinked awake in the darkening sky. Somewhere, far away, a human child looked up and dreamed of a future without war. Kryvar thought of that child and felt a strange hope. He realized the humans had earned their place in the galaxy. Not through brute force alone, but through courage and the will to survive. Their tactics were not just about battle. They were about life itself. The Kytharian fleet moved stealthily away from the planet. The engines hummed softly in the night. Kryvar sat beside Thexolan, studying the data again. "We must teach this to our cadets," the commander said quietly. "Let every academy study the humans. Let them learn what it means to fight with heart." Thexolan nodded. "Their tactics will shape our future. We must honor their strength and remember their lessons." The stars above seemed to shine a little brighter. A new chapter in the galaxy's story had begun. The story of humans, fierce and unpredictable, who had changed the course of war itself. And so, the Kytharian Empire took its first true step toward understanding the human heart. The lesson of this battle would echo through time, whispered in every training hall and war room. The humans had shown the galaxy what survival truly meant, and the Kytharians knew they would never forget.